It seems like the NDA on the Valve Index has been lifted, and we've been hearing nothing but really positive words about it. All in all, the Index is shaping out to be one of the best VR headsets we've seen. And while this may be the headset that will change PC VR forever, you can't actually have it. But is that a problem? Now that it's finally June, I've been checking my Steam purchases about every 3.5 minutes to see when my pre-order status will switch to shipped. In fact, I stopped recording just to make sure again because I'm compulsive, I guess. And all the while, almost everyone I know is sitting on a reserve list that backs all the way up to, what, November? Okay, so this is already a pretty expensive package that requires a hefty monetary investment, and now you also have a time commitment of 6 months or longer? Why is this happening, and why can't you just take our money and give us what we want? Well, I think we should back up just a bit and look at what the Index really is. First, I'm going to start with Oculus, the current reigning kings of VR hardware. The Oculus Quest is a pretty sweet little gadget and has apparently sold extremely well. And if this guy's guess is anywhere close to accurate, overnight the number of legit VR device users has more than doubled, and that changes the entire landscape for VR and VR game development. Why spend years developing a AAA quality game for PC VR whenever you could create a smaller scale, less involved, cross-platform game to encompass the entire VR crowd? Spend less, sell more, which makes sense, I'm not knocking it. But while the Oculus Quest was what the VR industry as a whole needed, I think it's worth making an argument that the Valve Index is what the PC VR industry needed. I can sort of see a shift in the VR market towards lighter software due to this giant influx of VR users on a lighter, less powerful platform, but the experiences that really leave an impression on me are games like Lone Echo and Elder Scrolls Skyrim VR. I feel kind of guilty begging for titles like Lone Echo, for example, because these titles take years to develop, require millions of dollars of funding, and even if a large portion of the PC VR crowd purchases the game, I can imagine it's not the easiest thing to make a consistent profit on games like this, even though they are technically better, more immersive, and involved games. Now, I'm not going to get into why AAA games suffer on PC VR, because that's a whole topic in itself, and I'll probably talk about it on a later date, but I do think it's worth looking at what the Index is accomplishing for PC VR. Oculus is focused on bringing VR to as many people as possible. Valve, on the other hand, is focused entirely on bringing the best VR to people. Headphones, high-resolution panels, IPD adjustment, USB expandability, pass-through, high refresh rates, expensive-ass full finger tracking controllers. This is a device of no compromises, and the price shows that. While I personally think this price is actually not that bad when you compare it to something like the Vive Pro, $1,000 is still a lot to cough up, but the supply still hasn't met the demand. People want high-quality VR experiences, and you can tell me graphics don't matter all you want with the Quest, but whenever you compare this to this, there is no comparison. Don't get me wrong, I still think gameplay beats out raw visuals every time in VR, but when you combine the two, the visuals and gameplay, you get an experience like no other. And that's where I think the Index makes its mark. It's not the headset for everyone. Actually, it can't be. It's expensive, and even though people want to buy the Index, they still can't get their hands on it. But it's the headset that sets the standard for PC VR moving forward. With Oculus moving in the opposite direction, Valve is digging in its heels to tell the world, no, people want these things, and I think the buzz around the Index alone is enough to send a clear message to HMD manufacturers as well as game developers that if you want the absolute best experience you can possibly get in a virtual world, you gotta do it on a PC. And here are the clear examples of that. Now, before you get your panties in a wad, go back to what I said. The Quest is what VR needs, but the Index is what PC VR needs. As someone that started and still prefers VR on a PC-powered platform, you gotta understand the worry some of us are having regarding big titles coming to VR. I want everyone to make their money, and I want VR to be the largest success possible. That's why I'm immensely thankful for devices like the Oculus Quest and shoot, the HTC Vive, original Rift, and even the Rift S for establishing a great foundation moving forward. But that's also why I'm thankful that the Index is a thing. It sets a precedent for PC VR moving forward as to what VR can be. I guarantee that you get a hardcore Quest user 30 minutes with a Valve Index and Boneworks, and their jaw will drop. So don't tell me visuals, refresh rate, headphones, etc. don't matter. The Index isn't what VR is, if that makes sense. It's the golden standard that shows everyone what VR can be, and what VR will be in the very near future, even if the Index isn't the device you'll be playing it on. Alright guys and gals, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Make sure to like this and join up in my Discord to join up in the ThrillSeeker community. And that's all folks, Thrill out.